What's up, everybody? Today is June 27th, 2023, and we're still homeless. Obviously, no house, no car, no money, etc., and whatnot. We're currently at the bus stop. We don't currently have a hotel. We made some money yesterday, but not enough. We need about $80 more total for today. That's not just for the hotel, but for food. And for Nano actually does need diapers today. Maybe he could use wipes, but not necessarily. We have a little bit of wipes, but he definitely does need diapers. The last one he has is on his body right now. So we need a little bit more money today. If anybody would like to donate, as always, this is just general, As always, there's a PayPal link and a GoFundMe link on my channel page. But that's not what this video is about. I want to talk about cars today, or a car. And so we've been thinking lately, Becca and I, about just getting out of this area because it is too expensive. We're finding out it's too expensive, not just for hotels, but for housing, because we're really trying to get into an apartment, and it's too expensive for what we have. And so we've just been looking around like neighboring cities here in Washington, and there's one city in particular called Sunnyside, and by car, if you had a car, I think it's like maybe an hour or so to get there, but by bus it's like 4 hours to get there. I mean, we don't even know how the city is. It's just like a potential, but it just brought up the problem. It's like, when you don't have a car, things are so much further. And then because we don't have a car, even if we could say we could just magically appear there, if they don't have a bus system there, like some cities, the buses don't run on Saturday and Sunday, or there was one city where the buses didn't run on Saturday and Sunday, and it didn't run past 6 o'clock in the evening or something like that. And we're really, really reliant upon a bus system. And this area, one thing I can say about this area, the Tri-Cities area, is a decent bus system. The best bus system we actually seen was in Wenatchee, a little bit more up north in Washington. Bobby bitchin' bus system, on time, like almost all the time. Good trackers, you could track it on your phone. It was free there. The buses were free there. Housing was a little bit more expensive out that way, but yeah, as far as the bus system, great. Anyhow, so the point is that we're just like, man, we just if we had a car, it would make things so much simpler. And so yeah, that's one of the things that, obviously we need a place, a house, but a car too, man. Matter of fact, I was gonna say to anyone who's like, say, from the East Coast, or even if you're like from Europe, like I know in Europe, like the countries are really, like small and squished together, as opposed to the United States is really big. And even on the East Coast, the states are a lot smaller. And so you may not be aware, because you live in a smaller state or in a small country, that you're like, well, I get around easy in my state or my country by bus. Not on the West Coast. On the West Coast, all these states are big. California, Oregon, Washington, especially California. And if you come to the West Coast, especially if you go to California to live anyways, you need a vehicle. Even if you go to a city with a bus system, everything is just so far, especially in California. You need, if you're planning on going to California to live, and you're from some small state like, say, Rhode Island or even New York or whatever, that ain't gonna fly. Even though there's public transit in California, you need a car. And so when you don't have a car, even here in Washington, it's still a pretty big state. Like I said, especially comparison to some of the East Coast states. Washington is a pretty big state. You need a car, man. Some things are just really freaking far. When you have a car going 30, 40, 50 miles, that's no big deal. You can do that in an hour or so. But when you don't have a car, you got to take a bus. Forget walking or riding a bike. But yeah, when you got to take the bus, especially when you got all you're homeless and you got all your stuff, so hard. But anyhow, so we're just thinking, just wishful thinking, just like, man, I wish I could somehow get a car, like if our church could donate one to us, or just, I don't know, something, somehow, some way we need a car. But anyway, when I was thinking about that, it actually reminded me of a prison story about cars, actually. So one thing you don't really, if it's, especially if you've never been to prison before, one thing, or even if you have been to prison, one thing you don't really think about when you go to prison, you're never really in a vehicle, car, truck, bus, train, nothing. for like long periods of time. There are exceptions to that. So okay, so when you first get arrested, you go to jail, county jail or whatever, and you're going back and forth to court, and so you're riding a bus, a jail bus, and so you're in a vehicle, okay, and then when you say you get convicted, you're like, oh, okay, you got to go to prison, so they transfer you to a prison, again, by a bus, okay, but when you get to a prison, you could be there for long periods and not be in a vehicle at all. Now, the exceptions to that, or if you happen to go to, you transfer from that prison to another prison, again, you go into another bus, they'll put you on a prison bus and all that, and so you're going to vehicle again. And another instance is if you have like a medical problem. So in most prisons they have like a clinic for small things. Oh, I got a cut, and hey, you guys have a Band-Aid, and stuff like that. And then some prisons will even have like a big like hospital too on the prison facility. If something bigger happens, you're like, I don't know, just something bigger happens, you could go there. But even at the hospital that's on the prison grounds, sometimes they don't have things to help either. Like I remember one time I was in Blythe, California, in the prison out there, and a dude I don't know if he got bit by a snake or a scorpion or something like that, and they just didn't have the anti-venom stuff or whatever he needed at the facility. Even though they had a hospital there, a clinic and all that, they didn't have the stuff needed, and so they actually had to airlift him out of there. Cost the prison like, I don't know, $30,000, $50,000, something like that. But anyhow, the point is that there are some times where like big emergencies happen and you got to be airlifted, or they'll put you in like an emergency vehicle or take you to like a real hospital, like a legit hospital, right? And then you go in a vehicle. But other than that, other than those little exceptions, my point is you can go years in prison and not be in a vehicle at all. Matter of fact, while I was there in Blythe, that was the last prison I went to. And I was there from 2003 till I got there, and until I left in 2006. So for 3 years, I didn't leave the prison at all. I never had like a major medical thing, so I never had to, I never had to leave the prison for any reason whatsoever. So for 3 years, I was not in a bus, in a van, in a car, on a train, on a helicopter, nothing, right? And so the first time I was in a vehicle was when I got released. They released me, from the prison. My dad drove out there and picked me up in his car. And that was the first time I'd been in a vehicle in 3 years. And let me tell you, it was weird. I felt like I was in a spaceship. Like, you don't really think about it because, in the modern world, just by chance, even if you don't drive or whatever, you might, like I say, you might get on a bus or a train or, I don't know, a plane or whatever, and you go faster than normal human speeds. Maybe even hop on a horse or something like that, And when you're in prison, you never do any of that. You never exceed normal human speeds going, however fast a human goes, 3 to 5 miles an hour. So you're moving slow all the time when you're in prison. Just, you walk around, even if you run laps or whatever around the track, like I said, you're not going very fast. And so when you finally get into a vehicle, when you're going, like I said, the max of a human goes is not very fast. So when you get in a vehicle that's going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, after years of not doing that, it's a wild experience. I was like, I don't know. It was like a little scary, but weird. But like I said, it just like felt like I was in a spaceship. I got used to it within like, I don't know, maybe a couple days or so. But yeah, that initial experience from not being in any vehicle whatsoever for years, and then going and riding in my dad's car, yeah, it was weird. It was a wild experience. So yeah, like I said, you don't really think about that. It's just one thing that you don't think about, being locked up or whatever. You don't really see that in the movies or whatever. They don't talk about that because it's so trivial, But yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, when my dad picked me up, and he took me to like IHOP or Denny's or something like that to like treat me, for my first meal out. But yeah, that ride, especially because we were way out in Blythe, California, is way out in the middle of the desert, and so this was a long drive from there to back to San Bernardino County. It was like, I don't know, 2 hours, whatever. So it was a long ride, but it was just like, it just felt so fast. Imagine just 3 full years straight not being in any vehicle whatsoever. It was just weird. It's just a weird experience, So anyhow, so the whole car thing got me thinking about that, But yeah, even though, like I said, we don't have a car, but in the modern world, we're on the bus every day, or, we've been on trains, and so, my body speed. I've experienced faster speeds, recently now. But when I was there for 3 years, it didn't really dawn on me. But for 3 years, I didn't go faster than maybe a light jog or something like that. That's the fastest you go. And if you go to that and you get in a car and all of a sudden you're going 70, 80 miles an hour, wild. So anyways, yeah, I totally forgot about that whole experience. But anyways, so yeah, it's weird, man. You kind of take it for granted of going fast speeds. You start to think about, like, say you go back like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, where, like I said, the only thing people had were like horses or whatever. There's no trains, no cars, or nothing. People just, you never felt that. You never felt that fast speeds whatsoever. And so if you took someone, say, from 1,000 years ago, and you put them on, and just in a car, even going like, say, 25, 30 miles an hour, especially if they never really been on a horse or anything, they'd be like, whoa, everything's passing by so fast, So yeah, weird, very weird experience. Anyhow, so prison story of the day. But yeah, we need a car. It makes things at least a little bit easier. A functioning car, I'm also tired of having an old car that always needs, like, it just breaks down. It's like every car that I have, always something goes wrong with it, like fast. I have bad luck with cars. One time in my life, I just wish I had a brand new car. Like, say, like right now, 2023. Just wish I had a brand new car that wasn't going to break down for a while. I could just do oil change and a little tune-up or something, just to, in the meantime, and I wouldn't have to worry about the engine blowing out or something like that. Maybe just change a tire, no big deal. I just wish one time I had a brand new car, especially right now. We need a car so bad. Anyhow, so that's the prison story of the day. That's what's going on today. And yeah, we're gonna go out and about, beg, try to get some money for food, like I said, Nano's diapers, and hopefully a hotel. We definitely don't want to sleep out in the field no more in a tent, man. It's not fun. Definitely not fun. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.